Welcome to a new life on the Isle of Evrima, where another 250 dinosaurs are all competing to ensure their own species' survival. Today we are no different. I hope you're all doing well. Sit back, relax, and follow the life of this adventure as we continue as a baby Herrerasaurus. Fresh out of the nest, we were no bigger than the grass we had stumbled into. Needless to say, Mum and Dad looked huge. Okay, wow, we are absolutely tiny. We're no bigger than any of the grass. This is crazy. Even like the claws on Mum and Dad are just as big as me. As a freshborn, I was constantly hungry and I was constantly pestering my parents for more food. Feed me, mummy. My food's draining very fast as a baby. In between meals, I was having fun exploring my surroundings. Everything was completely new, and I was learning what my abilities were, what I could do, and what I couldn't do just yet. We have like a whole family here. A watchful eye from every direction, everyone making sure that we're okay. I was born into a crevice in the canyon, a cozy corner where my parents could feed and nurture me until I was grown enough to hunt for my own food. The eggs that didn't hatch would be provided to me and my siblings for extra nutrients. As cruel as it seems, it was necessary for the survival of the rest of the litter. I think I'm the biggest out of my siblings. I think I was the first out, actually. I'm the big brother. Or big sister. I haven't actually checked. I was now big enough to put them talons to use and start climbing the nearby hills and the small cliff sides. I feel proud of myself. Look at me, siblings. As nice as life was around here, we could hear the sounds of other dinosaurs. It was a stark reminder that we weren't alone, and that danger really does lurk around every corner. Eventually, I was big enough to flee the nest, and I wanted to go see the world for myself. You see, I was born into a haven of Herrerasaurus. The steep canyon walls provided safety from outside threats, but it also proved to be the perfect terrain for hunting the turtles on the beach. The whole area was perfectly set up to support a thriving ecosystem. I decided to actually group up with one of my siblings named Eric. Even if other predators did venture into this area, they wouldn't even consider making a move as dangerous as walking through the middle of Herra Canyon. This whole place just feels really homely. It's so lively, there's so many Herras, it feels like one really big community. I love it. Food around here was never a problem. There was an absolute abundance of turtles, and so there was plenty of food to sustain every Herra in the canyon. Our first steps outside the nest were going great, and it was time to start actually learning some hunting skills. And what better place than the safety of the canyon? Just me and my little brother or sister, I don't actually know. Just learning our hunting, jumping from the walls. Now you see, when you're on an island with 250 other dinosaurs, and you're in an area with an abundance of food, you're not always going to be the only ones interested. There's reports of a crocodile in the area. So the benefit of being nested in is I already had 3 mutations before I'd even started. But it was time to pick another one. Yeah, I think if we just take less damage when fighting larger species, that would be good. It wasn't long before the boundaries of our safe zone were tested by a group of dilos. We are gradually venturing out a little bit further. I'm feeling a bit braver. I just want to go and explore. Unfortunately, there was a server restart coming up, and so I picked a branch to lay down and log out. When I came back, unfortunately, there was no sign of Eric anywhere. I now found myself on my own, with no siblings. Ah, the illustrious alligator has revealed himself. This is kind of a good place for him. Lots of turtles. He also knows that we're not going to bother him. It's kind of like a mutual... We have some turtles, you have some turtles. However, we weren't friends, and if we given this croc half an opportunity, he would snatch one of us for breakfast. Things were starting to quieten down in the starting area, and as safe as it was, I was starting to get an itch for adventure, so I ventured out the furthest that I'd been since I was born. I can actually hear AI, which is crazy on this server. Now, what I do have to be careful with is that they don't lure me too far away from trees, or anything that I can climb. So I'll chase them a little bit, but we're not going too far. The last thing I wanted to do was chase a boar so far away, run out of stamina, and be too far from anything to climb, such as a tree or the cliff sides. Yeah, this is a bad idea. You win for now, little boar. Yeah, I'm not chasing. I need to go back. However, they say patience is a virtue. And after a little bit of waiting, a boar got himself stuck on a cliffside. Oh, this is an opportunity. Oh god, I don't want to get gouged. Okay, we've successfully killed a boar. That'll give us some extra diets. Well, there's a familiar face. With the sun against his back, the huge, majestic alligator made his way up the valley and towards the pond. Now, I believe there's already crocs in the pond. So we've gathered the crew and we all kind of want to see what happens when this croc arrives. Everyone's taking up front row seats. Let's see how this goes down. There's a big croc already in here. In fact, there's 2 crocs already in here. He emerged over the bank as we waited in anticipation. However, it seems they were friendly. And now little Croc was on his own. So I don't know here if they've just kind of abandoned the little guy, because they've just made friends, and it's pack size of 2, so I guess little guy's on his own. However, there were nearby residents that weren't aware of the pond's occupancy. It was time to expand our adventure, but before I did, I headed back to where I was born, for one last feeding, and almost kind of for nostalgia. My god, I have to get this right or I'm going to kill him. That was close, but you're welcome. That was a bit too close. I took in one last look at my surroundings, the area gradually getting quieter and quieter. Even the crocodile returned from the pond and back into the sea from where he came. In the morning, we'll move on and continue our adventure elsewhere. Before we go too far, there's quite a bit going on here, so I'm just going to have a little explore around the pond. I could hear a juvenile raptor coming from the other side of the road, and I wanted to see if I could try and catch it. Once again though, it was a case of not going too far into the open. I heard large raptors in the area, and if I follow him too far, I could find myself in some serious trouble. I can hear them pesky raptors talking to each other again. It was proving difficult to track these raptors down. They were moving quickly, and I didn't have enough cover for a sufficient ambush. Just when I was getting carried away, I heard the big steps of a Carno. That sounded like a Carno, so I am not getting too carried away. We are out of there. Now, it was a good job that I couldn't really hunt properly yet. I hadn't honed in my skills because this was actually another Herra. I had nearly just attacked one of my own. Sorry about that, little guy. Under the blanket of the sunset, we moved north, up through the highlands, down through the rocky cave pass, and into the outskirts of the lake. We are now well and truly well away from the safety and comforts of our home canyon. This was by far the most danger I had seen anywhere, and I felt completely unsafe. Okay, as much as I haven't seen any crocs, that was really scary. Please don't ever get stuck again. The moon was incredibly bright, and it illuminated the lake and all around it. There was an air of peace and tranquility in what is usually an area full of death and fear amongst dinosaurs. As the sun began to rise, we reached our next destination, which was water access. He's completely missed me. He's gone for the pounce and completely overshot it. Even that Tenno's like, what on earth has just happened? He's just sat there and a raptor's just landed on his lap. What a beautiful morning on the Isle. I do love this area. So pretty. Never gets old. My god, the way he charged at me gave me a fright. Don't run at me like that, man. It was nice to see a familiar face in an area where you don't always see a lot of Herrerasaurus. And so I pointed him out some food. Sharing is caring. Enjoy. But I still had places I wanted to be, and so it was time to move on. We were going to head to the northern jungle, where there's a lot of Troodons and Ceratosaurus, but there's also loads of trees and plenty of ambush opportunities. This is starting to look a bit more like jungle. Stealth is my friend. We had had a fairly uneventful journey here, and it was beautiful. But the trouble with that is it can slowly lower your guard. It was time to get serious, because in here, one wrong move can lead to a quick death. Most life already living here was already acclimatized to those conditions, and so catching something was going to be tricky. Now we do have the benefit of being up in the trees, and it's actually an area where Herreras aren't really seen, so it's not really expected. And it wasn't long before we had our first opportunity. We had tracked a raptor, which had led us to a Troodon. It may not have been large, but it was our first kill from the treetops. I was beginning to feel a bit like a menace amongst the canopy. There was so much life running around on the jungle floor, and none of it had any idea what was lurking above. Below me were two young Ceratos fighting another young Pachycephalosaurus. I just need to buy my time and wait for someone to die and keep still. The Pachy had been killed, and the Cerato was waiting for the right opportunity to start feasting, which in turn would be my opportunity to jump. Now what I didn't realise is that I hadn't actually killed him, I just knocked him over and injured him. But it wouldn't be long before the job was done for me. One bite from a Dilo, and my kill was now his. But with the Dilo occupied by the Cerato, it gave me an opportunity to start eating some of the Pachy. This Troodon thinks it's his. Well, at least that was the idea. Well, I didn't actually get to eat any of that, but I did actually end up catching my own meal. So we'll take it. A win's a win. These dilos are really nippy. I've got to be careful, make sure they don't see. Because they're quick. If they see me do this, they'll be on me. Yep, just as expected. Here he is. However, even a Dilo knows not to be underneath a tree with a Herrerasaurus in the branches. Well, don't mind if I do. But it wasn't even long after that before another opportunity arisen. Amongst the rustling bushes below was another young Cerato. And this one would not survive. I was beginning to get thirsty, and so it was time to take a trip to the pond. And of course, this wasn't quiet either. Waiting by the trunk was a Gallimimus. Again, he had no idea what was just around the corner. We had now been in the jungle for a couple of days. We had experienced the exhilarating thrill of the hunt that you don't get by jumping off the cliffs onto unsuspecting turtles. There was danger here and a sense of risk, and what's life worth living for if you don't feel alive? Yep, this poor Tenno's life is over before it began. Wrong place, wrong time. It was time to head home. I missed the sense of community, and maybe I would even see Mum or Dad. Maybe my siblings would be there to tell my stories to. Herrera Canyon, here we come. We have been on quite an adventure, actually. We've done well. I was following this herd of Diabloceratops, but unfortunately my presence had spooked them. I haven't taken any damage. They've knocked me over, but I've taken no damage. I am so lucky. That was an incredibly close call. That was blinked, and I was nearly dead. Life just flashed before my eyes. I have no idea what this is, but I think we're just as surprised as each other to see each other. It was time to home in on some tracking skills. However, in these conditions, tracking blood would be very difficult. and the footprints will fade away quicker than they would if it wasn't raining. So as if tracking isn't hard enough, it's raining, it's dark, there's loads of bushes and visibility is low. And then just like that, with one sharp turn and a big group of bushes, I'd lost him. Yeah, I think I'm just following my old tracks now. Now it's hard to see in the video, but crossing the river was a very small tenno, and he was clearly on his own. Once again, this was a good opportunity for me to give tracking a go. And the difference this time is they don't know I'm coming. It turns out there was some secret midnight club going on at the top of this mountain, and the tenno had sought refuge amongst a group of dibbles. Hunting him now was going to be virtually impossible. Okay, he has really got himself in amongst the herbivores. That was good tracking though. However, when I was about to give up, something unexpected happened. Oh, he's actually stepped away from the group. He's actually come away from the herd. This is giving me another opportunity. The dibbles are busy sparring each other in Fight Club. And in the blink of an eye, the dibbles were distracted, the stego had left, and the tenno believed he was safe up here to explore. But it's those exact conditions that led to this quick death for this poor tenno. And once again, if you're not safe up here in the mountains, are you really safe anywhere? Always assume that trouble can come in all shapes and sizes, and maybe even from above. Well, it's time to continue the last leg of our journey. We're nearly home, guys. I was starting to see areas that felt so familiar it was already starting to feel like home. This was the pond that we'd basically grown up at. And as much as there were a few Herrerasaurus around, none of the names were familiar. And so I wanted to get back to my home beach and see if I could recognise anybody. However, when I got there, I was not prepared for just how empty it was. I mean, it felt nostalgic. I felt like I was home. This was once a bustling community of Herrerasaurus. I searched the nearby beaches, but I couldn't find anybody that was there when I was there. I had just been on this incredible adventure, and I just wanted to tell everybody that I had left behind. But the reality of it was, they probably weren't even all alive. Seeing this empty canyon, it really left a void inside that no adventure could fill. And so usually my adventures end in such a way that I leave the isle the way I came in. But today was different. Today, we leave it open. Perhaps I'll even start a family of my own. And this canyon will once again be full of life. Until that day, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next tale.